The seventh generation of video game consoles brought us the introduction and evolution of digital storefronts, with the PS3, the Xbox 360, and the Wii all taking advantage of faster download speeds and infrastructure that was kind of built up over time that got to the point where you could buy full retail versions of these games digitally. You don't have to go out to the store. And somehow, some way, after all this time, the one storefront that is still up and running is the PlayStation 3. Last year, the Xbox 360 storefront was shut down. Years ago, Nintendo cut off the Wii. And I am a little surprised that the PS3 is still running here with its storefront, because Sony did try more than a year ago at this time to shut it down. And there was backlash online, and they decided, we'll backpedal on this one for now. But something tells me this might be the last year for the storefront to be up. So I wanted to take a look to see where it is exactly in 2025, the state of it, some of the offerings, and just a general overview and look at the PlayStation 3 digital storefront. Most likely before it all goes away. Again, I'm thinking maybe this year. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you're new. This PS3 that I'm using is a bit older. It's an E01, so it's that 80 gigabyte backwards compatible, kind of backwards compatible software hardware combination in order to play PS2 games. But it was one that came out a long time ago now, like a year or so after the launch of the console. So in this case, it hasn't really been on the PlayStation Store, the most recent one, so I did have to download that. I moved over, by the way, to Ethernet because I realized that if you don't use a wired connection, it takes forever for the PS3 to do anything through Wi-Fi. Now I can actually jump into the store, which on its own also takes a while to load, which is unfortunate because when they did a couple iterations of the PlayStation 3 storefront. When it first showed up, it wasn't great. It was web-based, so it would basically use the built-in browser in order to display stuff to you. They didn't really have much in the way of downloadable games then. I think they had like 2 or 3 games. They were like smaller titles. So now, though, of course, everything's kind of shifted over to being more and more in favor of digital. So as the generation went on, Sony, along with Microsoft, decided to continue building out their online setup, and we eventually got to this point. This was, I think, in 2012. This account is actually one that I made for the ClickR3 podcast, the ClickR3 Platinum. The idea with this account is any game it plays, we'll just go through and try to get the Platinum trophy so that we can sort of give our thoughts on the process and what kind of a journey to get a Platinum for any of these games are. And, of course, people voted for the PS3 as being the generation of the system they wanted us to start on. So I have a game in mind. I kind of already talked about it, and I figured, while I'm setting it all up here, let's check in on the PlayStation Store, just kind of a fun, in this case, Sunday video over the weekend here, and we can check in on in 2025 how it's doing exactly. And actually, for many people, I'm sure, maybe even seeing it for the first time, unfortunately, it's impossible to show you what this looked like when the system launched easily, at least in real time. There are videos of people checking it out and images and stuff, but it's not something we can necessarily explore right now. But what we can do is kind of take a look around, see what we have here. So they do try to they try to get you to upgrade, of course. There's the PlayStation 4 Slim bundle upgrade here. Yep, $299.9, which the PS4 itself, while you get used ones cheaper, it actually hasn't gone down that much in terms of pricing for MSRP. So I don't think you're gonna, well, maybe you might run into a PS4 bundle still at around $300. I just don't think that's gonna be very common necessarily to find them at that price. But we have like best of for PS3, which we can go through here. And I want to point out a few things that are definitely worth, I think, if you have a PlayStation 3, maybe to fire up and check in on, or really, maybe even just outright purchase at this time. Games, add-ons, apps, they had a whole free section, which I have to imagine most of this is probably gone at this time. Oh, look at that, Run Sackboy Run. Good old Vita game there. I figured you have like Defiance or Dust 514, stuff like that. Kind of like legacy titles at this time. Demos, of course. Big thing back then, this generation, all about the demos. It was a big deal to have demos consistently coming out for games. Now you kind of see it more and more with like Square Enix is really big into doing this currently. But this was a big deal. Let me see the newest first. It's the last one they did. Okay. World of Final Fantasy, I guess, being the one that sticks out to me the most here. But they also did, like, event-specific ones. I remember there was a Ratchet and Clank demo that was for PAX. And that was a big thing, because I feel like they released it here on the PlayStation Store. And that was kind of a big deal then. What's the oldest? Blast. Yeah, okay. Blast Factor makes sense. Yes, that would, of course, that'd be the oldest. Or, like, Lemmings. So, demos being pretty big. Add-ons, of course. Plenty of microtransactions there. Let's just go up to games. So, the few sections I would recommend, technically. Well, actually, let's look at top games. Let's see. Shovel Knight is the top game. Minecraft makes sense. GTA 5. Shovel Knight, though, right there. Number 1, Treasure Trove. Mass Effect Trilogy. God of War Collection. These collections, I feel like the disc online for the PS3 for some of these collections have gotten pretty expensive. Like so the Jak and Daxter collection is a great example. This one is like $30 to $40, I believe, on places like eBay to get the disc. Here it's $10. That's a pretty good deal. So we just have like basic descriptions and stuff here, which the idea when they move to what looks, as you can see, more and more like a PlayStation 4 storefront from the old PS3 one was to try to have more on screen, be more visually presented here, as opposed to before it was faster. Like, this is a slower experience. Absolutely. I think the Origins collection on here too for $10. These collections, this is like the way to go, right? You just start picking up these and you get a whole. This one even was stereoscopic 3D, so it would have worked with the TV that they had. Wow, look at that. Full trophy support. $10 though. Sonic Adventure at $4. Some of the PlayStation Store games also got delisted. There's a few from the classic category that I remember. Oh, Adventure 2 is $7.49. Uncharted 3 is disc only. So I feel like there's some other game on here that probably is going to be cheaper. Okay, the Ratchet and Clank collection. That's the other collection I was thinking of. That one at $20. That online is $40. So, I bet you the Infamous collection's pretty expensive too. All these collections were just jumped in value. $15 there. You're going to fill up your hard drive. Keep that in mind. This one's an 80 gigabyte hard drive. I have not upgraded it at this time. 24 gigabytes for this. And some of those PS3 games you would have to install, but it wasn't 24 gigabytes to install. It was, maybe it needs a couple gigabytes here and there. Unless you're a Metal Gear Solid 4, in which case, yeah, you're going to eat up a nice chunk of your drive. But remember, if you're going this route and you're, let me show the closet, there it is, and you're buying these games digitally because of how cheap they are, you're gonna need I would recommend getting, honestly, a terabyte 2.5-inch drive. It doesn't have to be SSD, although you might as well based on the pricing we see now. As I'll cover later on, I have a video about custom firmware for the PS3, and that was a big thing, was being able to upgrade that, and it did give me more speed in terms of random read writes. Top classic. So the classic category here is probably the biggest reason I would recommend turning your PS3 on and checking out like the digital storefront, because some of these games you're about to see are much, much cheaper than what they are online. So Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, Crash 2, those are all some of the top games, and it makes sense. But then like Persona 4, this is the PS2 version of the game, the PS2 Classic, as you can see. $10 though. So that, I see games like those that are a bit more obscure, of course, and they become more expensive because of that. But I mean, like Bully is $10, Final Fantasy VIII, $10. And this, technically, if you buy it here, it's linked to your account. So you can see it's PSP, PS3, PS Vita. So it would work across all of those. And even though Sony shuts down, say, the storefront, let's just say they do shut down the storefront this year, you're still able to download those games. So the other aspect, where we are now currently, which this looks probably weird for people who are on the PS5 specifically at this time, right? Because you know it as, okay, PlayStation Plus Premium. They'll add it eventually, and then I can maybe buy it unless Capcom or somebody pulls some weird thing. But you have to kind of wait. These games, if they do end up going to PlayStation 5, to my understanding, it does track along with your account. So if I bought Legend of Dragoon here, it should also be linked and I feel like it activates on the PS5. If someone can confirm that in the comments for me before I say it's absolutely a thing, let me know. But I have seen people mention that multiple times, actually. I think that was like Resident Evil was one that actually had that effect. But either way, I mean, even if you just got it here and it was across some of these platforms, Xenogears at $10, Mega Man Legends at $10, even Chrono Trigger on the PS1, which not a great version of the game. I mean, still at $10. That's the biggest thing here is these are all still very well priced. And they're good experiences. Even God Hand, like $10, which I remember God Hand when that came out. And this is a game that I feel like had the biggest turnaround in history for games. This one right here. I know we talk about No Man's Sky and stuff like that, but when this game came out, I remember my friend had it, and I was watching them play it on the PS2, and I was like, oh, this game looks awesome. So we were like all in on this title. And then reviews came out, and I think IGN gave it some like absurdly low score. I think it was like a 3 or something. And now everyone loves the game. So I don't know what happened back then. I don't know what the deal was, why people hated it, or I guess really just reviewers and stuff weren't fans of it. The game is awesome. Absolutely worth $10. You're going to see this a lot, by the way. The store in its current form here, is very slow, which is unfortunate. Because it does make browsing kind of a pain. And you can see there's like, it's worth browsing to find a lot of this stuff, but it is not fun to go through this. I like Persona 2, $10. Digital Devil Saga. That's such a random game right here to have up. I have them physically over here. They had 2. So they had and they linked together. So when you beat the first one and you had your character, your save data on the memory card, it carried directly over to the second game. And this thing is $10 on here. That's actually kind of a rare PS2 game for what I remember too. But that's what you can kind of take advantage of. And what I recommend taking advantage of are definitely the classic selection here. Oh, there it is. Well, you can get basically double pack for $20 then. But yeah, that's, I mean, The Misadventures of Tron Bonne, $6. Look that game up on eBay right now on the PS1 and then come back to this video. Yeah, that's ridiculously low compared to it. So, Mega Man 8, same deal. Midnight Club, the original. Look at that. We always talk about Midnight Club 3, and yeah, it's just a better game. But man, this was I feel like racing games. I know racing games, we get a lot of them now still. And we just had like Tokyo Extreme Racer come out. That's cool, blast from the past. But it's hard to compete with like right around that PS2 to PS3 era. Man, that was a time for racing games. We had so many big players making titles for it, like that genre. It was pretty good. Now, the big thing that I hear people talk about all the time, and it's funny now to think about because we took it for granted back then, themes. The thing that gets me about this, especially now, I kind of feel like this should be a moneymaker. Shouldn't it, for these companies? Like, a BioShock official theme is $1. It's a static theme, which means it doesn't move or anything in the background. It's probably a couple of images that change as you scroll through. I don't have it here to demonstrate. But if we find, there are a few where you can see what it would look like. And it was awesome to be able to take your system and just kind of change it up as you want. This is a dynamic theme, so they do have a trail. We had trailers, yes, for our themes. That was a thing. So this will give us a nice little look, and that's kind of what you have. It would be a dynamic theme where the background would be able to move, and it just looked really cool. Everyone's PS3, like, tell me if this was your experience. Everyone's PS3 looked different, like when you turned it on. Everyone had like a different theme that was attached to it, and what was cool was when you went to different games, so I feel like I'll be able to find it here pretty easily. It can't be... It's got to be in these top games. There was one... Okay, here it is. Yeah, look, Uncharted. This is the one that I remember the most, because I feel like I had this more than others. Look at the theme on this thing, which you can see right here. There we go. So you did have just like a static theme, and they would give them away for promotion as well. But like the dynamic theme for this was awesome. It had like the plane in the background with Drake. Nathan Drake right there. Here we go. I had this on my PS3 for the longest time when Uncharted 3 came out. And it was so cool. That's the thing that I understand why people miss this from PlayStation, or just a lot of really any of the consoles now. It's just less personalization, and I get it. Like, why I get it and I don't. I understand the sense that they want to advertise stuff to people. So, for example, with Sony with the PS5, when you pick or hover over a game, they show you a bunch of stuff for that game, like to advertise to you. I get it. I see what they're trying to do, but at the same time, this dynamic theme is $3. And let's be real, it's a video on the background that plays and doesn't eat up enough memory to destroy your PS3 or something. It seems like if a game is popular enough, you could sell, I assume, several thousand copies of that theme. Just to somebody people who are scrolling through or are really excited about a game, or just promotion. It kind of works as advertisement as well, but that was more when it was in person. And you would go to someone's house and they'd turn on their system and, oh, there's Uncharted 3 in the background. Persona 5, I know Persona 5 had a couple themes as well, but yeah, they had 10. So some companies went all in on the theme stuff. But you could just spend a good chunk of the day just looking through some of the themes. And I mean, some people probably spend a lot of money on it, although 100 themes would be $100. So how many themes are you really going to collect over the course of a 7-year cycle? By the way, this thing is slowing down, and that's something I've noticed with the storefront. The longer you use it or explore or look around, the slower it gets, like just over time. So this is the dynamic theme, which I'm trying right now. There we go. And you can just see as you scroll through, it'll like changes. They'll have like changing stuff that'll happen, and the background will move. It's what a time for just customization in general. So I get it when people talk about like themes and stuff. It makes sense that they miss kind of that personalization. Top digital games. Here we go. A lot of Sega stuff right there at the top. Sonic Adventure, Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Which, I mean, again, the pricing, it's pretty good. These don't even have listings anymore. I assume they're just gone. So Sega was delisting a lot of their games. And, I mean, people weren't going to notice if these titles get pulled from PS3. How many people are really using the PlayStation 3 storefront right now? Not that people aren't going online and playing games, because the PS3 online still functions and it's free. You make an account, you can start playing right away. Castle Crashers Classic. If you've never played Castle Crashers, fully recommend it. It's a lot of fun to sit down with a couple of people. We used to do couch co-op with this game all the time way back in the day. It's just a fun hack and slash kind of beat 'em up game with some friends. Medal of Honor Frontlines. If you're older, you know what this was about right here. Not that, this part. The beginning of this game is like iconic, and unfortunately a lot of the newer generation will never understand that. It was, man, what a crazy time that was. Back on like the PS2, storming the beaches. Fight Night Champion is only $5 on here. That is a good Fight Night game. How's this look? It still looks pretty good. Some of these PS3 games, you look at the screenshots, they look crunchy. That's not so bad. That looks all right. That looks all right. Let's see. Oh man, this got delisted too. If you had this on your account, you can still download it. But the Soul Calibur 2 HD Online. Yeah, it's a shame that got delisted. That was a good version of the game. Let's see. Sonic the Fighters, that's still up. You just had a lot of digital PlayStation games you could buy. Again, PSN games. Call of Duty Classic, another good one. Original. It had online multiplayer as well. You want to see some crunchy stuff? Look at this. Oh, they don't have screenshots. Yeah, this would have been some crunchy looking visuals there. Payday the Heist, Oddworld, Munch's Odyssey HD, another classic. No screenshots. I feel like most of these just don't have screenshots. Crazy Taxi. This has a trailer. It does. Oh, it has a theme. It's a static, and it's free. Oh, should we download the? You know what? We're gonna get the full experience right here. we're going to download the Crazy Taxi theme. There it is. We'll drop that on before we finish up here, okay? I'm going to scroll through some more of the, as it allows me to. This thing is, the struggle is real right now. Okay, there we go. There we go. You know, I get the idea of trying to make this more visually appealing. I prefer the speed, if anything. Like, just to be able to get through and load stuff faster. If it's just a list, I'm fine. Like, with tiny little thumbnails. Daytona, USA. That's still up, too. That's awesome. Oh, they got a theme. It's $1.49. Oh, wait. No, there's a theme right there. Let's see what this one looks like. I'm just looking at themes now. Oh, that actually looks pretty cool. Man, that looks pretty good. I'm going to download that too. We're just going through. Oh, it's available exclusively for PlayStation Plus members. Man, that's rough. Okay, never mind. Not doing that apparently. Let's see, Okami. I bet you there's an awesome looking theme for Okami. Games like these lend themselves perfectly to that. Come on. Oh, there's 4 themes. We're just looking at themes now. Look at that, $3 for the Okami. They have 2 of them. Oh, they have a couple. There's a 3-pack theme. Let's see. Oh, that does look pretty good. Okay, I guess we're just not loading that. Never mind then. Let's keep going through here. Most downloaded digital only. Yu-Gi-Oh! Costume Quest 2. I like the first one a lot. That was a good game. Good RPG. Different RPG. Crisis. Still couldn't believe they got that on the PS3 and the 360 back then. Actually, I mean, they got 1, 2, and 3 on there technically. Sly Cooper, Street Fighter Third Strike. There's still a bunch of good games on. Oh, there it is. The trilogy is still kind of pricey though. I mean, this is you can. I have to see what the physical disc is for this. So the collection here at 40 is about what the physical is, although you can find it if you look on eBay used for a little cheaper than that. So that actually is not a great price point for it on the digital side. I would just recommend getting that one physically. Like if it was $10, I'd say yeah, obviously get the classic trilogy here. Now, while I will say it's better than I was expecting, there are still some funny moments here when you look around it. So this is like the best of, right, for PS3. So you have like let's see if we go all the way to the left here. Best of Saints Row, best of Sonic, best of 2K, best of Sonic, best of 2K. So yeah, I mean, there's a few things that are, it's like little stuff when it comes to just cleanup, maintenance, and just keeping an eye on how it's loading and what you have at the top. I mean, they have to, obviously right here, it's just repeated. But based on this versus what I experienced with something like the Vita, where that was like barely held together at this point, it's actually not, I mean, it's not bad. It functions. And although I will say it technically had an update in 2012, and it kept seeing maintenance, and they still do support it technically, as they have not shut it down yet. I don't think we have much time left with it, but you know what? It could be worse. How about that? It could definitely be worse. And this might be our last real chance to browse, look through it, and pick up some of the classics or even some of the PS3 games. So yeah, if you have a PS3 now, I recommend firing it up, going through the store, see if there's anything you want, because there is a very good chance that this year could be the last for the PlayStation 3, considering it's the last one from the 7th gen that's still even being held up. And I feel like Sony eventually will come back to the table and decide if they really want to keep supporting it, considering in order to buy stuff, you can't add directly to your wallet from the PS3, as they mentioned here. You need to add funds to your PSN wallet from a PS4, a PS5, your mobile device, or on your PC. So it's already kind of like one foot out the door. I think eventually they're just going to completely leave and shut the door here pretty soon. Oh, and here's the Crazy Taxi official theme. Might as well do that now. So let's apply. There it is. It's pretty straightforward. Again, it's a static background, so if nothing else needs to be displayed back there when you pick an icon, like here's PlayStation Store, for example. it'll be there. And also the icons, yeah, look pretty cool. So it was little things, right? Small things like this where you go, you know, it's fun. Dreamcast, guess who's back? There's the silhouette of the different characters, Crazy Taxi, and like the fun like mark here from the tire, and like it's fun stuff like that I feel like still kind of sets this generation apart for people, because of the personalization you could have for your system at any point. Like, it's pretty straightforward to change in and out with these themes. But that's going to do it here for a look at the PlayStation 3 storefront. And the fact that it's still online, again, surprises me, which makes me think it's going away here pretty soon. But let me know if you have some fond memories of it, or on the flip side, if this is the first time you've even seen it, because I do realize more and more people now who are watching YouTube and stuff and becoming aware of just like the gaming ins and outs and history. Maybe you came in during the PlayStation 4 generation and you didn't really know a lot about the PS3. Let me know what you think about some of the offerings actually that are there as well. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.